Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Intentional People. This is your host, Nakasha, mental health consultant. On each video, I give you guys tips on how you can be more intentional in improving your mental health and well-being to achieve the vision you have for your life. Thank you for checking out this installment of Relationship Fails. In this playlist, I reveal through each video some of the most common reasons why relationships don't work out. So in today's video, we're talking about common sense thinking, okay? That idea that certain things are just common sense, guys, we need to throw that out the window, okay? One thing we really need to realize is that common sense doesn't really exist. Even if we look at certain things that, we'll say that everyone can agree on, if we really dig into it, we'll find that you'll hear people saying, I agree that everyone should do that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that this should apply to me, or doesn't necessarily mean that I should have to do it depending on certain circumstances. There should be exceptions for me not to do it depending on what's going on. So let's say we put 10 people in a room and all 10 say, we agree everyone should be honest, okay? But then we actually go and talk to each person individually. You're going to find, okay, that a lot of the people, if not all, depending on those who are willing to be honest about this aspect, they'll say, you know what, it's okay for me to bend the truth because of this particular situation. It's okay for me to not be 100% honest or omit a few things depending on what the particulars are that are going on. And then suddenly this thing that we all said we agree on, such as being honest, suddenly it's not so common to all of us. Anytime a patient says to me, my partner is not meeting my needs in XYZ, the first thing I ask them is, did you communicate your needs to your partner? What did you say and how did you say it? Guys, a person cannot meet your needs if they don't even know what your needs are, okay? That communication also has to be effective. Sometimes it's that the person doesn't have the capacity to understand you, but sometimes it's also a matter of you finding a way to explain it to them that they can understand. However it is you go about it, the first step is that you have to communicate. A lot of times people will say a person should know that. No, a person should not know that because we all come from very different backgrounds. We all have very different experiences. We all see the world through a very different lens. And what may be common sense to us is not common sense to everyone else. And so communication is the first, most crucial starting point. But guys, just because we are aware of the fact that, these things aren't common to everyone, we don't all value the same things, doesn't mean that we have to accept certain things, right? So we can accept that not everyone agrees, but we don't have to accept that lack of alignment in core values when it comes to a relationship, okay? So we should be aware that we don't all think the same way. But if something goes against your values at the core, if something violates your boundaries, you do not have to accept it from someone. If it's not a situation that is really, within the realm of our non-negotiables though, it's really important that we recognize that certain things just, they're not common sense and our partner isn't thinking the same way as us. It's, I'll hear people say things like, that person should just know. No, they shouldn't just know. People are not mind readers. That's how we have to really communicate things to each other. That whole common sense thinking is not going to be helpful in allowing us to really address issues that may arise in our relationships and, allow us to give our partners the benefit of the doubt and allow them to really explain their intentions to us rather than us attributing our own. Human beings are very complicated. Sometimes when we're talking to others, we can feel like we're speaking two very different languages. So for example, two people can say they value being family oriented, but at the same time, they can have very different definitions of what that means. They can have very different ideas in their minds of how that is demonstrated, how it is expressed. Now, that's where communication becomes very important. Anytime you have two people in the room, naturally there's going to be some disagreement. So that's why it's important to communicate and find some common ground. Find that common ground of what you both believe are some core ways that it's demonstrated for your partner to show that they are family oriented, that they value partnership. Once you guys are able to identify that, you can build off of it. You can determine which things you can let go, because your partner is likely not going to be able to give you everything that you want. Now, he or she should definitely try to adapt, but there are going to be certain things that you may want that they're never going to be able to give you. Now, that's where it's going to be important for you to weigh things out. You want to weigh the things that you feel are missing with the things that they are bringing to the table, the things that you see value in, okay? Anyone you meet, no matter how amazing they are, is likely going to be missing a few things. Anything that you focus your attention on will grow. So if you focus on the things that are missing, your dissatisfaction will grow. But if you can look at the full picture of the overall person, that can help you make a decision. We tend to glamorize relationships when they've ended. So we've gone through a breakup and, maybe initially we're feeling good about it possibly, and then later we're feeling lonely, and then we start to think about how great that person was and how great things were back then. But if we can look back on things and think about the reasons why we broke up with them, if they were based on our core values, things that were non-negotiables for us, firm boundaries, then we can still feel good about our decision despite those feelings of loneliness. But if our decision to end the relationship was more so based on superficial factors that things we could have changed our minds about, things that were actually negotiable, then we may feel some regret. And at that point, it may be too late to rekindle things with that person. That's also something that's really important to think about when we're in the relationship. Because if you focus on what you feel like your partner is lacking, he or she may decide that they don't want to be with you anymore either. Because when you're in a relationship, it's important that you're building your partner up and not bringing them down. Now, it's a slippery slope trying to predict who your partner can be based on who they are presently. Absolutely, we should look at the present as a predictor of what the future is going to look like. But there's also different things that we need to consider. So for example, let's say you want a partner that's family oriented. Now, if your partner grew up in a family that was highly abusive, being family oriented in the way that they would have liked would not have been feasible for them. So despite their best efforts, that's not likely something that they would have been able to demonstrate based on their past. So just because you don't see it in terms of their present and how they interact with their family does not mean that they won't be a good partner for you and being able to express what it means or looks like for you in being family oriented. So because they missed out on that in the past, that can actually make them more determined to build that in their new family, to have a healthy, happy family, because they know what it was like for them to not have that, and they see how important it could be. Now, you're not going to fully see that and know it for sure unless you're in the situation with them, once you've built that family with them. But what you can do is really look at small examples while you're with them to see if they have that in them. Okay, so you want to have a full view of the person. Don't focus on what you want them to be or what they even say. You just watch them and see based on their behavior. Look for different examples that show that they're able to actually demonstrate that. Now, another thing that can happen though is a person can think, because I didn't have these things in the past, this is what I want for the future. And then you throw them in that situation and then they start to think, you know what, this felt or sounded good in theory, but now that I'm in it, I'm not sure this is the right fit for me. So that's why it's really important not to focus on what the person's saying, but what they're showing you. Now, as people, we actually don't know ourselves 100%. We don't always know what we want, and we can't always differentiate what we want from what we need. Sometimes we don't know how we're going to react or behave in a situation unless we're placed in it. We're always learning who we are from each experience that we have. But it is very important to have some level of awareness about what you want and what you need, what you bring to the table. That way you actually have an idea of what's truly compatible with you. Now, if you don't have some level of self-awareness, that's how issues can arise. it's not only important to think about what you want and what you feel you need, it's important to know what traits you have within you that are already developed, okay? That's the only way that you're truly going to be able to not only attract, but sustain that thing that you're saying you want once you have it. Discernment is key, guys. It really, really is. And, and I say that because if we look at the same example, someone who grew up in an abusive household, that person may indeed be ill-equipped to have a healthy relationship with you, to build a healthy family. They may not have the necessary skills to do that, despite their wanting to have that, right? And their norm looks very different from your own, and that's where you may have a lot of that clashing happening. If someone hasn't had healthy parenting or a healthy marriage modeled for them, there is going to be some learning involved there, right? And that's why it's also going to be important to be very patient with your partner, but that's only if you see that the person has the necessary ingredients to get there. If you see that your partner is able to meet your needs at a core level, okay? So yes, communicate with each other because that's very important, but you also have to go beyond what they're saying and actually watch what they're doing, okay? You need to see that what they're saying they want, they are actually have the capacity to handle that if they were to receive it. Okay, guys, so that wraps up this installment of Relationship Fail Reason of Common Sense Thinking. If you enjoyed this, go ahead and click the playlist and watch the next video where I'm going to reveal yet another common reason that relationships fail. And guys, if you enjoy content like this, hit the like button to let me know so I can make more videos like that. And also, please share the video with those that you think might enjoy it. And also, don't forget to subscribe. Post your comments below. I enjoy reading them. Thanks, guys.